back, 3 steps back. Anyway, am I talking to anybody here?
Yes.
So we all have these different things, these wars that's going on within us, and we need to know what these wars are and then how to overcome them. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today, the war within us. Right here, what do you see? A beautiful picture of a beautiful car. And I'm here to let you know that this car symbolizes a Hebraic mindset that we once all in this room possessed at one time or another. A beautiful mindset that is. You don't want to look at it and everybody just go, ah. This is the Hebraic mindset. And then this right here symbolizes what has happened to that Hebraic mindset. This is the Hellenized mindset that we all have now, today. We have this Hellenized mindset. This mindset that has literally not steeped in truth, but is steeped in a lot of falsehoods, it's steeped in a lot of myths, it's steeped in a lot of concepts and different things that are just not the right thing. And it caused our Hebraic mindset, which was this picture, to end up looking like this. Y'all follow that? This is the mindset of truth. This is the mindset of truth. It's all clear. It's all detailed. You can see everything going on and happening. But then over here is the mindset of falsehoods, where things are twisted, warped, and distorted. This is what has happened to us, because this is what causes the wars within. There are 2 opposing forces that causes us to have the war within. See, if there's no opposing force, then you're going to have some peace on the inside. You ain't got no problem. You ain't got no trouble. But there has to be something coming in on us that's causing the fight and causing the war to happen. This is the mindset of peace. The mindset of peace. A Hebraic mindset. But then over here is the mindset of war, of trouble, of turmoil. Trying to put this image in your mind. Okay? Because there's 2 opposing forces. There's something going on, and it's causing the wars to be on the inside of us, where we cannot live in peace and in unity and in harmony with one another, because all of the wars that's going on the inside of us. Genesis 25 and 22, we're going to learn about Rebekah, or read the story about Rebekah, who was Isaac's wife. And when we read the story of Isaac's wife, I want her to represent to us in this story, represent us as Hebrews and as Israelites, and the situation that we find ourselves in right now. So we're going to read Genesis chapter 25, verses 22 through 26, and make sure that you see. And we're going to read this and have in mind that this struggle represents our struggle today. Okay? Y'all following me so far?
Yes.
All right, read. What it say?
The children struggled together within her.
And the children struggled together within her. Y'all see that? So this sister Rebekah is representing us as Israel. Okay? So the children struggled together within her. Come on.
And she said, if it be so, why am I this? But she went to inquire of the Lord.
See, sometimes you have to inquire of Yah because you're trying to figure out what's going on in me. What's going on? I thought I should have some peace by now, but I still feel this fight and this struggle. And I feel a war going on the inside. Now, I'm not talking to anybody. If you don't feel like this message ain't for you, you can just turn the page and go think about something else.
Yeah.
But you appreciate it. I need this. We're going to wait. So there's a struggle sometime within us that we don't even recognize in us. So what we're doing is slowing down enough for you to hear and recognize the inner conflicts that's on the inside of us. Because we all want to, nobody wants to purposely, that's in this room, purposely wants to walk and live a lie.
Yes.
That's the presupposition, right? That's what we're sort of, okay, we're basing it on that nobody wants to walk in a lie. Now, if somebody here wants to walk in a lie, then you can be excused.
Exactly.
All right? Our hearts should not be geared to want to walk in lies, but our hearts should be wanting to walk in truth. And that's why we're here. We're here because of the truth that we want to know and want to recognize and want to walk into us together. So this woman, Rebecca, she was struggling. She wasn't struggling, but there was something going on within her that she could sense an inner fight and an inner war. And she went to the Most High Yah to inquire about what was going on the inside of her. What did the Most High say to her?
And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb.
She said, he said, 2 nations are in your womb. Come on.
And 2 manner of people shall be separate from thy bowels.
See, you can't have an inner conflict by yourself. There has to be 2 things going on the inside to cause a conflict. There has to be truth and a lie fighting for a place within you. I know, here it is. So the Father said there's 2 nations in your womb. 2 nations and 2 manner of people that must be separated in you. Separated in you. Y'all hearing this? All right, come on.
And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger.
One people, or because of these 2 nations that's in you, one of them are going to be stronger than the other. See, in you, the lie is either going to be the strongest in you, or the truth is going to be the strongest in you. But one of them going to be dominated, because that's why the fight and the struggle is happening on the inside. Y'all walking with me through here a little bit? Okay? Ain't this something that she was pregnant by the same man, but yet still there was 2 different nations in her?
Yeah.
How could that be? How could there be 2 different nations in her, and she was pregnant by a Hebrew? Isaac was a Hebrew, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But the Father said there's 2 different nations in you. Think about that.
Hallelujah.
I looked up fraternal twins. I didn't realize that fraternal twins, that a fraternal twin, if you have fraternal twins can actually be pregnant by 2 different men.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until I went and looked it up. I said, wow, ain't that something? And they could be a couple of days after one another too, a couple of days after one another. I didn't know that. So we understand that these nations that are in her were fraternal. They weren't identical. They were fraternal twins.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right. I mean, but still.
Okay, what did it say?
And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb.
So after the days for her to be delivered, there was twins in her womb. Twins. Couldn't have been identical twins,
No.
but there was twins in her womb. Fraternal twins. All right? Come on.
And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau.
The first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Come on.
And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel. His name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare him.
Y'all hearing this? So, as soon as Esau came out, the other twin, reached out and grabbed the heel of the other. That was the start of their life. Remember, they were already conflicting and struggling on the inside of her because there were 2 different nations on the inside of her. And these 2 manner of people were going to be separated. The reason for the struggle within her and the reason for the struggle within us is because of these 2 opposing factors. that have to be separated in us. Light and darkness. Y'all remember Prince talked about that last week. Light and darkness. Yah created light and he said it's good, and he separated the light from the darkness. So light and darkness cannot abide in the same place. If you turn on light, then darkness flees. If you turn out and blow out the candle, darkness will come right back. They can't commingle at the same time. So the reason for the struggle is because of these two opposing factors that have to be separated. Colossians 2:8. What did it say?
Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit and the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, not after Christ.
It says, beware lest any man do what? Spoil you.
Right.
How do they spoil you? Through philosophy and vain deceit.
Wow.
After the traditions of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. The word spoil, it means to be led away from truth and to be subjected to another one's way. That's what the word spoil means. To be led away from truth and to be subjected to another one's way. So how are the children of Israel being spoiled?
Well,
They're being spoiled through philosophy. They're being spoiled through vain deceit. They're being spoiled through the traditions of men. And they're being spoiled because of the rudiments of the world, which are not after Christ, not after Yeshua. There's a lot of folks that have different philosophies in their speech as they're talking. They got a lot of people about vain deceit. A lot of people love the traditions of men. Christmas, Easter, Sunday service. The traditions of men. Brother, I'm going to see you at Sunday service? Think about it. How can somebody change the day of Yah? Change his holy Sabbath day to the first day of the week,
right,
from the seventh day to the first day. Think about that. That's some kind of audacity, ain't it?
That's right.
I'm going to change his day. We ain't going to do the seventh day no more. We're going to do the first day.
We know that.
And then if you don't do it the first day with us, we're going to kill you.
right.
That's right.
Ain't that something? We're going to kill the servants of Yah that want to be obedient to him.
Right.
We're going to take you out if you don't do what we say.
Right.
And this is going to become a tradition of man. Okay? This is how we're spoiled. And we said spoil was being led away from truth and being subject to somebody else's way. So what has happened between the Old Testament and the New Testament? What happened? Why did they remove those books from our Bibles and take them out? Because the first King James Version of the Bible, 1611, it had the Apocrypha in it.
Yeah.
And in 1885, they took it out. And they said they just ran out of ink. You know, people just wasn't reading and want to save some money. Ain't that something?
That's ridiculous.
But what happened between these two testaments? Isaiah 60 and 2 happened. Come on.
For, behold, darkness shall cover the earth,
For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth,
and gross darkness the people.
and gross darkness the people. So in other words, what happened between those two testaments? That was when darkness began to cover the earth and gross darkness the people. But I'm glad the Father is not going to leave us in darkness. Because what did it say?
The Lord shall arise upon thee,
But the Yahweh shall arise upon us. Come on.
and his glory shall be seen upon thee.
And his glory shall be seen upon thee. Hallelujah.
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 So I guess we are the light of the world. Huh? When his glory shines upon us and he arises upon us and causes us to rise up. That's why we sang that song. The kingdoms of the devil are coming down because we're rising up. Hallelujah. The only way the kingdom of Satan can come down is when the true children of Yah begin to rise up and begin to take their place upon the earth as who the Father has called them to be. The light of the world. City set up on a hill which cannot be hid. Let's deal with forced customs. Alexander the Greek was so successful at spreading the Greek way, historians name the period from 300 BC to AD 300 the Hellenistic period. And in that period between the old and the new, Alexander the Greek came and he began to spread his Greek ways all over the place. And he began to Hellenize the people, Hellenize the Hebrews. He began to Hellenize everybody, taught everybody their philosophy, taught everybody their culture, taught everybody their ways. And that period began to be known all over the world as the Hellenistic period, where darkness and gross darkness just begins to cover the people. Y'all follow that? And that Hebraic mind that we saw from that car began to turn into the wrecked car that was twisted, warped, and distorted. That's when that began to happen during this particular time. Hellenists were Israelites, a culture in Greek values, language, and customs. The Hebrews were devout Israelites who spoke Aramaic. Hellenists were considered cultivated, civilized people, and all others were barbarians. Ain't that something? They went from being Hebrews and Israelites to being Hellenized, and all of a sudden, as they begin to being taught the Greek way of life and the Greek custom, all of a sudden they begin to say, everybody else is barbarians, and because we have now this Greek understanding, this Greek mindset, everybody else now are the barbarians. That's a twisted way of seeing yourself how you used to be. Are y'all hearing it?
Yes.
Everybody say syncretism.
Syncretism.
Syncretism is what happened to our people. After Alexander began to spread his culture and begin to dominate the lives of the people, a lot of people begin to use syncretism to cause the people to accept things that they didn't want to accept, but they ended up accepting them anyway. They begin to synchronize a lot of their way of life. Syncretism, it is the combination of different forms of beliefs or practices. It is the merging and the combining of two or more different schools of thought. That's what syncretism is, where they take one thought, one belief system, and then synchronize it with another thought and another belief system, and they merge those two schools of thoughts together. And now you can't be the wiser because they flow in so good, and there's so much undertone of deception on top of the truth, and made up stories and lies all mixed in together. And that's how they package Christianity as we know it today. It's mixed in with paganism, and it's mixed in with a little bit of truth, and that's what makes it dangerous, because there's a little bit of truth laced in with a lot of falsehoods and a lot of things that shouldn't be there. Two different schools of thought came together and merged themselves together. Y'all got that? Syncretism. Syncretism, thus asserting an underlying unity or an agreement and allowing for an exclusive approach to other faiths and ways of living. In other words, through syncretism, they begin to bring all of these schools of thoughts into one synchronized river, where they started to agree and to become unified in their thought. And it began to teach them different approaches to other people, the way they lived and what they did in regards to worshiping false gods and idolatry and all of that kind of thing. It started to be prevalent when the Greeks came upon the scene, and they mixed it in with what the Israelites, the truth of the word was. And they began to mix all that in, the different cultures of Egypt and all the other ones. They started just mixing it all in and making it all one and making it all agree. Syncretism, Greco-Roman religion, was a mishmash of collective gods, rituals, and philosophies. And we're talking about the war that's within, because that's what's going on. See, a lot of us, we've been told the lie so long that when the truth comes, it is unbelievable. The truth is.
Yes.
You're like, man, why you get out of here? We've been doing this all of our life. What do you mean? What's wrong with Christmas? What's wrong with Santa coming down the chimney? The only part is I ain't got no chimney, so now what? What's wrong with Easter bunnies and eggs?
Yeah.
Well, bunnies don't lay eggs.
That's right.
So I guess that's a problem then, ain't it? So why they got bunnies and eggs? What's really going on? What's the underlying thing?
Fertility.
Are y'all hearing that?
Yes.
Something going on. We're believing. All right, cute little Easter bunny. Did y'all see the thing with the baby? They brought the tall Easter bunny that came into the school, and the girl was hollering and screaming,
Scared.
scared out of her mind,
Sure was.
scared of the Easter bunny. I would have been scared too. Syncretism brought all of these ideas and merged them together to have one kind of thought and one kind of mindset. Philosophies. Remember he said, don't be destroyed, don't be spoiled because of philosophies and vain deceit. Traditions of men, the rudiments of the world. Remember he told us that we were warned not to do that, but that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Anybody know this guy?
Yeah.
And this is a short lesson. A short lesson. I'm almost finished. Anybody know that guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody ever learned about him in school?
Yes.
Plato.
Yes.
Plato was a philosopher, as well as a mathematician in classic Greece and an influential figure in philosophy, Central and Western philosophy. He was Socrates' student, and he founded the academy in Athens, the first institution of higher learning in the Western world. Along with Socrates and his most famous student, Plato helped to lay the foundation of Western philosophy and science. Alfred North Whitehead once noted the safest general characterization of the European philosophy and tradition is that it consists of a series of footnotes to Plato. First thing I learned in Bible college, they start talking about all these guys, Plato and Socrates, and I could not make a connection. Like, why are we learning about this? I don't understand. I remember learning this when I was younger, but now here I am in alleged higher learning, and the first thing we're learning is about Plato and Socrates and all the, and they made you think and believe that these folks were saved, that they knew Jesus, that they was trying to find out who he was, and I'm sitting there learning. I'm like, man, these guys wanted to know Jesus, but they got God in it. They got these words, religion and all, and you just looking at these words, and remember, I'm 19 years old, I'm in Bible, I'm like, man, look at this. Man, wow. I didn't know all of that went on. Acts chapter 17 and 16, and I'm going to leave us with this right here. Acts chapter 17, verse 16, because I'm going to show you how all of these things play out in the Word. Acts chapter 17, verse 6, it says, now while Paul waited for them in Athens, his spirit was stirred in him when he saw the city wholly given unto idolatry. Now, remember, the middle part of the Bible was where the Greeks came in at, and they took away that part of our Bible. When you hop into Matthew, all of a sudden the Romans are now in charge.
Right.
So you go from the end of the book being about, the Persians and the Medes, and, you leave from that, and then you skip all the way. Now you're in Rome all of a sudden. In Matthew, like, man, well, what happened in history? Who defeated the Persians? And the Greeks came in and did something. And then you say, well, who defeated the Greeks? And who came in? It was the Romans. So it's a big, huge gap there. But all of a sudden, everything is dealing with everybody in idolatry. The Israelites are weak and sick, and you see the Messiah coming and healing them and delivering them and telling folks, I've only been sent for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And you see that all these conversations and all of these things happening and going on was because at the time that the Messiah came, the Israelites had already accepted a lot of the things that the Greeks and the Romans was doing. Yeah. And it was only a remnant back then that could recognize who he was and recognize what had happened to them and how they had failed so far from where they were in their mind, in their heart, and in their connection with the relationship with the Yahweh of Israel. They had failed so far. There was some that was, different sects, and you got all these sects, you got all these people fighting and not agreeing with each other. Nevertheless, when we get over here to the book of Acts, you see Paul, he's in Athens. He's over there in Athens, and his spirit was stirred when he saw the whole city was given over into idolatry. So all of these things that we talked about prior to had already been introduced into the Hebraic understanding, into the Hebraic mind, and these people, the whole city, not just a little bit of it, the whole city was given over wholly to idolatry. Are y'all hear this?
Yeah.
Watch this. Therefore disputed he in the synagogue with the Jews and with the devout persons, and in the market daily with them that met with him. So Paul went there, he was disputing with people and trying to, get them to know what was going on or what was happening. And he says he was disputing in the synagogue with the Jews and with the devout persons, and in the markets daily with them, the people that he met. Watch this. Then certain philosophers of the Epicureans and the Stoics encountered him. And some said, what will this babbler say? That's what they call him, a babbler say. And others, he seemed to be a setter forth of strange gods, because he preached unto them Yeshua and the resurrection. It's like, man, what is he talking? What is he coming with? Because at this time they had already accepted everything that the Greeks and the Romans had to say. They were philosophers. They were on a whole different type of mindset. And they say he must be preaching something different. He's introducing something different, but they wanted to hear it. And he says, and they took him and brought him into the Areopagus, saying, may we know what this new doctrine whereof thou speakest. They wanted to know, what is this new doctrine that you're bringing to us? So this shows you that these people had a whole different mindset than Paul and how he was coming forth with truth. It says, for thou bringest certain strange things to our ears. Now listen, these people saying, Paul, you bringing strange stuff to our ears. We ain't never heard this kind of stuff before, but we're interested in hearing what you got to say. This shows you how steeped these people were into something else. It says, and we would know therefore what these things mean. What are you trying to get us to see and understand? For all of the Athenians and strangers which were there spent their time in nothing else but either to tell or to hear some new thing. They spent all their time sitting and talking about deep stuff. And they wanted to hear some more deep stuff. They said, come on, Paul, bring us the deep stuff. Bring us this stuff. Let's sit and just philosophize about all this stuff you got to bring us. All right? Watch this. Then Paul stood in the midst of Mars Hill and said, ye men of Athens, I perceive that in all things ye are too superstitious. Do you think Paul was jumping the gun with that statement? Or do you think he was right on point?
Right on point.
All right? So he said they're too superstitious. He says, for as I passed by and beheld your devotion, I found an altar with this inscription, to the unknown God. So they had all these other gods, and they said, just in case there's some God that we don't know about, we're going to make an inscription to him too, to the unknown God. That's real superstitious, ain't it? Yeah. So it says, whom therefore ye ignorantly worship, him declare I unto you. What a good intro and a good way to start. He started where they were in idolatry, in the paganism, and he used their inscription to the unknown God to give them a sort of a point that he can launch from to say, this unknown God you are ignorantly worshiping, That's the one I'm going to come and start off talking to y'all about. Because y'all all jack, y'all doing what you're doing. I'm going to talk to y'all about what y'all don't know and what y'all can't understand. So he began to teach these people and begin to bring them into an understanding of what it is that he was trying to say. This is what happened to the people in my closing. And when they heard of the resurrection of the dead, some mocked. Okay? And others said, we will hear these again of this matter. You know, we'll hear you again. We're not totally convinced and we're not totally rejecting it. So some people mocked what he was saying when he got to the resurrection of the dead. And others said, we ain't going to make no choice or make no decision right now. We want to hear it again. And then other people said, so Paul departed from among them, howbeit certain men clave unto him, and they believed.
Yes.
So, which one will you be after today? Are you going to be the group that mocks what we say? Mocks what's being taught and what's being preached? Or will you be the ones that, you know, you put off making a decision and a choice of dealing with this war that's on the inside of you and fighting it off? You say, you know what, Pastor, not now, but maybe next week.
Right.
That song, tomorrow, I give my life, tomorrow, I thought about it today. Oh, won't you turn and walk away tomorrow? Y'all know that, right?
Yeah.
See, are you going to be like those folks that say, tomorrow, I'm not ready to commit myself to truth. I'm not ready to actually give my all to your way and your what you're talking about just yet. Are you going to be like that? Or are you going to be like the other folks that believed and they clave to Paul and said, Paul, we ain't going to let you go until you give us everything that we need to do so that we can walk in truth and make a decision to live our lives in truth. They clave to him. They didn't want him to leave. And I'm saying in this room right now, these are the three types of people that are in this room every week that come. Some mock in their own heart, saying, man, you know what? This ain't that serious. This ain't that deep. Then there's other ones that say, I'm not going to make a decision right now. I'm just going to come and check that pastor out and hear what he's saying. I just want to know what he's talking about. And the Bible says it's better for you not to know the way of righteousness than to know it and still reject it, and still turn away from it. Y'all hearing that? Yeah. Or are you going to be like these people who actually believe in what was being taught and what was being preached to you make an intelligent decision for truth?
Hallelujah.
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 Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat
The
shalom.
war within.
Wow, that's powerful.
Was that a nice little piece there?
Yeah.
Was that a nice little pack, one of them small personal pain?
That was a big one. It looked like it was small.
So the war within, something we need to think about and something we need to reflect on as we